Welcome, everybody. How are you,
When are we
Seth?
gonna finally get music on this show? Live music. If only
Live
you know how to play.
music?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah,
That's
it's
what we
a.
need.
You're right. No, you're right. We can. I mean, we can do it. We kind of did it a couple of times, and I think our
It's not
friends
important enough to us. We
liked
don't feel
it.
like it's part of our. Doesn't feel like it's part of our thing. But maybe we should make music part of our thing.
I
Because
agree. I agree. Hey,
so
guys,
maybe when we
if
move to
you.
the new channel, we can figure that out.
That's a great idea, guys. If you're into that, if you wanna, see us take a crack at trying to communicate the great transition through music live, then
Well,
let us know. Let us know.
Asaf had
And
this crazy.
as always, let us know where you're watching from. What did I have?
You had a crazy idea. Asaf had a crazy idea that I was gonna play guitar from here. At
Ah,
the end of the show, we would have this
you're talking
segment where I would play guitar from here.
what we talked about a month ago.
Yeah.
Something
So
like that.
Asaf has an amazing. We complement each other. I'm nice. He's smart. No. So, so I was gonna.
You want to start? Do you want to
No, I don't
the
want to start. I'm
I
turning red already.
think
So,
like my
so
colors are really off today. I'm sorry
no, my
for that.
colors are up. Okay, forget it.
Your
So
your skin color is up, but I
I
think
turned
you're a
red.
little hot. You're a little hot on the mic, man.
Okay.
Like a little
So
bit,
the concept was
a
that
notch.
I was going to play music from here, and Asaf has an amazing ability to put everything into a nice package, and he was going to basically sum up the whole show in like a freestyle like chorus or verse or something like that.
Seth can come up with choruses
I
like
can come up with choruses
this,
pretty well.
like this. He
Yeah.
can just come up with like a catchy, like really fun to say, kind of well rolling on your tongue kind of chorus that sounds cool and you want to repeat it like in an instant. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
So we were going to
Mm.
try this, but there's issues with latency, meaning if I play the guitar here and start singing something, it
Yeah.
takes a second or half a second till Asaf hears it, and then he responds with his lyric, and then that's a second behind me, so it's already like 2 seconds behind, and then
Yeah,
it
I
creates a
think
bad loop. So
Dima told me that it's 23 milliseconds or something like that.
it's enough
But
to make it sound weird.
yeah, no, for music, the human brain like immediately catches it and it's weird. But for dialogue, it's always there. We just don't notice it. It's not a big deal.
Interesting. I
Yeah,
told you that I was watching something on like double speed, and then
yeah,
because I was trying to consume a lot of content quickly, it was like some video I wanted to
yeah,
understand something about life, and
yeah.
I wanted to hear something again, so I slowed it down to one time speed, and everything sounded like this, even
Yeah.
though it was
This makes you think about ADHD and all of that type of stuff. You know how kids they get used to really speedy, fast, blazing kind of video games and cartoons and whatnot, and then life just becomes boring and
yeah. You come to sit down for
slow,
dinner, and you're like bouncing off the
and
walls.
you're like unbearably like irritated because you need something to happen, like quickly. Yeah. Yeah, it's a
Um,
real. But hey, there's a
this,
solution for it. There's a great solution for it.
what is it?
Ritalin.
Ritalin. No, that's not a great solution for it.
I'm
Uh,
obviously kidding. That's a horrible solution. Yeah, but
uh,
you'd be surprised the percentages of kids on Ritalin today. Anyway, welcome to the wait a second.
yeah.
Let's do this properly.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Welcome to the great transition, everybody. If you happen to came across this channel and you're here, but even if not, let's welcome you. If you notice that something's weird, strange, yet big, epic is happening in our time, in our world, and you want to put the pieces together, you want to see what it is, you want to explore what it's about, we are here to tell you you're right, something is happening. And you know what? It has a lot to do with us exploring how we can rise above all our differences beyond politics, beyond religion, beyond culture, and identify that we're all one and nature is pushing us to be one. And that's our welcome to the great transition. Thank you. Thank you, Seth, for allowing me to do
Thanks,
that.
Asaf.
I'll also remind everyone that we are soon be moving to a new channel. It'll happen very soon, so stay tuned. We will let you know when it's there, and maybe all of us will do a group action And as soon as we start the new channel, we'll subscribe, be the first subscribers there, and do it all together. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, everyone
Yeah.
who's here, all of our regular friends who join us on YouTube and Facebook, it's something super unique. So when we move over to the purpose of moving over to the other YouTube channel is because it'll allow us to reach more people. And something super unique about this show is that the friends who are with us in the comment section are like in the same stream with us. And it's really unique because, as you know, most comment sections are loaded with is vitriol the right word? Just like venom and poison and
Yeah,
hatred,
yeah. Toxicity is another word you can
toxicity. So
use.
it'd be really great
Um,
that when somebody
hostility.
shows up
Hostility
who
is
does
another one.
what?
Yeah. Hostility is another one.
Hostility, yeah.
Yeah.
So when people show up and they may be hostile or toxic or have different opinions and start cursing out Asaf and I, or start, saying something that seems, doesn't matter, political, whatever, that we don't have to
That we don't
well,
curse back. That's the beauty. That
we
we,
allow,
yeah.
yeah, we can talk about it more, but in general, we want to. If we're talking about peace, peace means um, two opposites. Peace is not like, oh, you do everything I say and everything will be great. Peace is when there's different people, different beliefs, different feelings, and they can get along together. So the first thing we
Hmm.
got to do is just make that space where that can happen. But Asaf, enough about logistics. I've been thinking a lot about the virus since we met. Today is Thursday. Oh my gosh, time goes so fast. So I've
Yeah.
been thinking a lot about the virus. It feels like we've been a little bit like had a little bit of a lull, especially in the last few shows. We haven't been. We started out so focused on the virus, and we really got to explore a lot of other things.
Yeah.
But it seems like the virus is coming back. Maybe it has probably has something to do with winter.
It never went
It
away.
never went away,
Yeah.
no, but it kind of went off our radars a little bit. We just went back to living, but with masks on. Now, I know that's not true for everyone. I mean, I
Right.
know my kids are, on the couch and one of them's in his bed going to school right now on his computer because it's virtual. The older one got Zoom bombed this morning. Someone came on and started, like as a joke, and started saying all kind of like curse words and stuff, and then like left.
Oh.
uh, yeah, so who knows and earlier in the week he got a worksheet for his foreign language class. For an hour class, they were just supposed to, like, it was just a word search. It means like the
Uh
teacher
huh.
gave you a worksheet with a lot of letters and you just like find, like, not learning. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about. Some things have changed, clearly some things have changed, um but in general, we've kind of, as weird as it seems, like, you go to the grocery store, as weird, you have a mask on, you stay far away from people, but you do. You go to work. A lot of people go to work, or you work from home, but you're still phone callers. It's in general, it's not like everything is completely upside down. We just kind of push through it. This interesting thing about human beings is that we have this relationship with time where we can kind of defer payment. We can kind of like do things that pushes off the consequences for a while, like the ADHD medicine or other things. Like, and it's actually very beneficial because in some places it gives me time to, like, if I can push something into the future a bit, it buys me a little bit more time to prepare something so that when I arrive, I am ready. But what happens is it becomes abused. It's like having it's like a
Okay.
government.
So
You
you're
stay
wait,
closer to the
wait.
mic so I can hear.
Yeah. Just be clearer about what you're, because that's an interesting concept. But I mean, you mean the fact that we can give credit to ourselves in the sense of, not credit in term, like credit in the sense that we can, we don't see an immediate action to
Suppose
response to our actions
suppose
necessarily.
there's a virus that
Yeah.
comes, and the whole
Okay.
purpose of this virus. Imagine nature wants to develop these creatures so that they will have an amazing life, and everybody is fulfilled. In order
Okay.
to do that, all of these creatures need to kill each other. No, I'm just kidding. The opposite. In order to do that, all of these creatures actually have to support each other and take care of each other. So imagine nature is developing all of the creatures towards a life where they all support each other and take care of each other. Okay?
Right.
Imagine these creatures have no way of perceiving that because they're not tuned into this show, or for whatever reason, they just don't know that that's what nature's doing. Okay? So they create all of these. So this virus comes in order to move humanity in that direction towards being good towards each other. But if you don't understand what's happening, so you just take an ADHD, you just take your ADHD medicine. I mean, you just take a vaccine. You just do something to push the virus down the road so it doesn't bother me now. I'm not really dealing with it. I don't understand why it happened, but I'm just taking this thing that came at me and just kicking it down the road just so that I can open my store back up and just so that I can go on living my life. Like, so what? So I don't need to fix anything. We can still have a world where everyone exploits everyone and we're destroying the ecology, but we won't have the virus anymore.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think humanity is, divided to two. I think some people feel that, and maybe every person is also divided to two in a sense. You know, I mean that in terms of our attitude to the virus, that is, that on the one hand, it's like, when can we fix things, patch things up so we can go back to what we did before? And then there's another part of us in every person and in the whole society that recognizes that this is a turning point. Things are not going to go back to how they were. They're not supposed to go back to how they were. This globally interdependent situation that we're in, and this global virus, this global pandemic that we're in, is reshaping, transforming, redesigning the world, and we gotta, you know take our cues and from this transformation understand where it's going. So I think we're all divided. um, we're split in our emotions about COVID. I think that it's a very ambivalent kind of relationship that we have with the current state of the world and with COVID. On the one hand, again, we are like we find maybe something positive about it. It makes us rethink some of our systems. It forces us to rethink our relationship to each other, work, being crowded in big cities. Our care system, can it be better? Can things be more remote? Um, do we actually care about each other in terms of how our systems work for us? There are things that I think we identify that COVID is, pushing us towards a better state, and yet on the other hand, we all want to also just go back to the old familiar normal world that we're so used to. And we're just kind of trying to fight off this virus, be over with this pandemic, just find the vaccine already, you know? Yeah,
There's,
it's
there's in that sense, humanity's not really suffering. Like as long as you can, it's like a temporary inconvenience.
yeah.
As long as you can go back to what we had before, I'm nervous to even say the things that are like coming up in my mouth to say right now.
Go for it, man.
I'm not like I'm what?
Go for it.
I'm not like a
Uh,
doomsayer kind of
Our
person.
listeners
And
can take it. Our listeners can take it.
uh,
Worst case scenario, they'll, you know, they can't.
the what?
No, go ahead, man. Just go.
Um, this is not really suffering. We're not seeing millions of people dying. We're not seeing children really being affected.
Yet.
Um, yeah. So what are we doing? We're just pushing the virus down the road, trying to cover up something and just go back. There's no talk on a large scale that people can hear about. I mean, the big talk here is just hatred towards the other group. You know, the Democrat hatred towards Republicans and the Republican hatred toward the Democrats. And every day that's what fills everything. And that the one politician, he is going to make everything better, and the other one, he's going to make everything worse. And both sides have endless, and it's not talking about what is going on here. Forget about politics. Go vote for whoever you want to vote for. The solution is in the humanity of is in the unity of humanity, and it doesn't matter if your neighbor votes opposite from you. It doesn't matter even who becomes the president. That's not where the solution is going to come from now. We're at such a critical moment. Basically, nature is coming. The oh, Saf, I don't want to use the word spiritual again. The spiritual is like coming closer to the physical. So so if I hate you, like
Yeah.
to a measure of 2 meters, you're gonna have to stay 2 meters away from me. If I hate you to the measure of 4 meters, we'll have to stay 4 meters away from each other. Like nature's like pushing us away, and we are forcing ourselves closer together, and in order to do what? To exploit each other, and to do it in a nice way, and in a way that nobody really notices that I'm actually exploiting you. But what are all of these businesses that we're trying to reopen? What are we? Oh my gosh.
No,
Asaf,
go.
basically, I've monopolized the microphone the entire show. So jump in
No,
at some
no,
point. But
go ahead.
okay, move a little
I,
closer also. So here.
I'm getting on your wavelength, and I see where
I'm
you're.
loaded, man. My, my
I
my my barrel is loaded. I got so much on my mind.
just go, man.
The
Yeah.
so last night I got home from anyway working late and didn't know what to do. I ordered Japanese food. Okay, we like
Okay.
Japanese food a lot.
Okay. Sushi.
The the
Yeah.
way sushi the waste when you order Japanese food, the container waste,
Yeah.
like second to chopping down Amazonian rainforests, like Japanese food takeout containers has to be like the second leading cause of like environmental pollution. It's unbelievable. We're three people here. It's like a
Yeah.
mountain of plastic when we're done. So I mean, this is the life that we want to rush back to, where everything is um there's no consequence. We just put that's what I was talking about time before. We push the consequences off. We're not dealing like give me my vaccine, take away the virus, let us go back
Hmm.
to just destroying everything.
Yeah. And then on the other hand, there's also a recognition that the normal that we want to go back to was anything but, you know. Um, there is some awareness of that. I think uh, if you want to, if we want to look at COVID as an educator for humanity, as a um, yeah, an educator. I don't have a better word. I would say babysitter slash educator. If you look at it from that prism, then you go, okay, so it forces us to stop our businesses, our all our engagements, all our systems to a certain extent, but not fully. It just allows us to kind of think a little bit about where we are and where we're headed. That's kind of what is happening here. It doesn't completely paralyze us yet, and it doesn't completely holds like a knife to our throat and tells us, you got to change everything that you're doing. We don't feel it like that yet. So um, so what's happening is that we are beginning to think about where we're going, and we're beginning to evaluate and to assess how good were things before COVID. Now, that's where it's either this consciousness that we need to change is growing, and in that respect, it's like we're listening to what COVID wants to tell us. It's like we are, heeding the message. It's like we are trying to be, good students. And if all our aim is just how we can push that COVID away and, just go back to everything that we did before, again, from that prism of COVID as an educator, then we are really bad students. Now, what do you do with bad students? That's the question, really. What do you do when someone has the potential and but they keep failing, and what do you do with that? That's where
Eh,
you know
eh,
what.
eh. What are you laying? Nature has no other. You saying there's no other choice but to beat us? I mean, nature made us
No,
in
I'm
order to
saying
beat us.
I don't know. I'm asking. No, I'm asking. Let's say if we think of COVID as an educator, you as an educator. Okay, so what do you do with a child who you want them to grow? Again, parent slash educator. Okay, let's mix this together. What do you
I
do?
say like this. I never want to punish. I want to bring the child. I want to almost like threaten until the child does it. Like I don't. There's no pleasure as a parent to punish a child. You want the child to actually do the thing. Go to sleep, clean your dish, do your
Yeah.
homework. There's no pleasure to
But
punish.
you also don't want to threaten. You also don't want your children to live under threat all the time, and to move forward because they feel threatened.
No, I was imagining I'm nature. I mean, nature's constantly threatening
No,
us.
well, let's put ourselves in its shoes. From that perspective. What do you do? What do you recommend? What would you recommend nature to do?
I would recommend if I was nature, I would bring some kind of virus that barely kills everybody, that cleans everything up, that gives people the opportunity to be at home, spend more time with their family, spend more time exercising, give people the opportunity to change their lifestyle.
Okay, but
Give
where do you that the whole question is, where do you how much do you show the threat of, if you try to go back to what you did before, this is what's going to happen. How, that's the whole question. You know what I
Well,
mean?
you'd have to say it's not enough yet because it doesn't seem like we really got the point.
I
Well, listen,
think,
Ireland
yeah,
Ireland is on lockdown again. I
yeah.
think Ireland is going on like full lockdown. I think that there's other parts of Europe that are starting to go into
Yeah,
lockdown
we
again.
we came out of lockdown 4 days ago, and we didn't come out of anything. It's just like it's this constant calculation, argument, division in society about like what do you do? You kill the economy completely, or you risk killing more people. You send the kids to school by and then they become super infection super spreaders of the virus, or you keep them at home, which means parents again can't go to work, which means the economy again takes a hit. So we're in this catch 22. This is what I'm trying to say. The
Oh, so
world
when we
is.
get a budget for the show, I got also this. I figured this one out also. When we get a budget for, remember we were going to get glasses that show us all the invisible forces in the world.
Yeah,
Remember from
yeah,
like a few shows ago, we
yeah.
said once
we're
we get the
we're we're,
budget,
we're yeah we're working on it. The producer
so we
is
have to have a
yeah.
few inventions.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the inventions, we can see all the invisible forces, right? Then we know how to respond to life. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing is, did you know that if you connect a brain to like an EKG or whatever the things are called, you can
Yeah,
see.
electrocardiogram.
Okay, so I just Googled like measuring. Oh, I wrote hatat. I wanted to say hatred, but I'm not going to change it because I got a good result anyway. I wrote measuring hatred on a brain scan. I just typed that on Google. So let me show you this.
Okay.
So I didn't get hatred actually, but a few other things. This is so, for example, here is showing like when a person is an Alzheimer
That's
patient.
not
This
electrocardiogram. That's an MRI, I think.
MRI. Okay, fine. So here's thank you. Here's an MRI, right? Okay, look at this here. This one is a woman. Whoops, premenopausal and postmenopausal, just showing that
Right.
depending on
Can you
where
make
you
it
are.
bigger? Can you make it bigger?
Yeah. How can I make it bigger? It.
It's not bad.
How do,
It's not okay. That's better already.
I just wanted to show. There you go. I just wanted to show that depending on how you feel, I mean,
Yeah.
depending on what's going on for you, your brain looks different. And there was one other
Sure.
one I wanted to show. Well, for example, like insomnia, the different parts of your brain activate. So the
Dude,
point
it's
is,
parts of your brain, chemistry in your blood, different hormones kick in. Of
Right. So
course, yeah, of
all
course,
I'm trying to show here is that when you feel hatred, this
yeah.
can be measured. You can
All
measure
right,
it. So if we put a light on a person's forehead, and as you're approaching that person, if the person's feeling far like hatred, the light turns red or something, then you stay away from that person. You go to do a business deal or something, and you could even like have a thing where you have to like plug your thing into your computer or your telephone. So when you're talking to someone, if you're feeling hatred, their phone flashes red or something like that. Or if they're feeling love, their phone flashes, I don't know, purple, green, whatever. This way, we can. Okay, I hope everyone's going for a ride with me on this and is not thinking
no, no, no,
not.
no. You
I'm
just, you
I'm
just, you,
joking.
you just reminded me of something I saw earlier. I want to show you as well. Go ahead.
Okay, okay. So the idea is that these things are not hidden. What we feel is easily measurable by connecting a few electrodes to us. And all the emotions that you feel on the outside can be displayed to everyone on the, I mean, all the emotions that you feel on the inside can be displayed to everyone on the outside. So maybe everyone wears a crown,
Yeah.
right? Maybe we'll have this in the merchandise section of the Great Transition. Everyone wears a crown,
Everyone likes a crown, man. Yeah.
and each, depending on your mood, um, depending on all these different electrodes that are going on, depending on how your brain is firing and what's going on inside your brain, the crown lights up a color depending on what your inner state is. So
Okay.
you're not permitted by law. And then we have to have some laser.
Dude, it sounds like a great Black Mirror episode right away, I
We're gonna
can
have to
tell
put
you.
lasers on it or something, that if a person is um, feels hatred,
Yeah.
that person's not permitted to come close to another person. So by this, we could help nature fulfill
Hmm.
her mission, which is to have us only relate to each other with love. Now, of course, I don't want to hate other
But
people.
it's more complicated than that.
Okay, tell me.
Now you first. Okay. You don't want
No,
to
no,
hate
I've been
other people.
talking for 30 minutes
No,
straight. Please say
it's not
something.
it's it's a little more complicated than that because nature doesn't want you to just, you know, be a machine that is always positive towards others. You know, it could have designed us this way. It designed us with these ego bursts and egoistic attitudes and inclinations and exploitive relationship towards each other that we have, so that we have an opportunity to consciously make an effort to slightly be more considerate of each other, to be independently consciously more positive
The crown
towards
could
each
tell
other.
that also, but it
So
says it's the
so the
hatred is rising, but the person's trying to overcome, and that it can permit you if
okay,
you do.
so
You'll be
I don't know.
rewarded for that.
So I think that's an interesting, there's certainly a Black Mirror episode there, man. You gotta, you know, you should pitch this one, but to the whatever the creators of whoever they are. But no, we need to further refine it first.
So you're saying
This,
that nature doesn't want us to just be robots.
yeah,
I have okay, so suppose I'm the first volunteer and I wear the crown. I go out and it turns red and I'm trying to do a business deal with somebody and my competitor's coming to do a business deal, but I'm the only one wearing the crown. And the
yeah,
guy realizes I'm just trying to get money out of him. And even though I act like I really like him, I really just like him because I'm trying to get the deal. The
okay,
other guy, my competitor, he's not wearing a crown and he's friendly and he shows up with gifts. And the other guy believes him and he looks at me like I'm angry. So I don't want to hate anyone. I
oh
don't want to
man.
hate the guy. I don't want to approach him in order to just exploit him. I can't help it. It's my nature. I mean, not just my nature, it's everyone's nature.
Too many parameters here, man. We need to
Yeah,
break this
it's too
down
hard
a
to do
little
a
bit.
proper experiment with all these parameters.
Yeah, no, we need
Okay, forget about business.
we
Forget
need
about all
to
these parameters. Let's go
no.
back to nature. Okay, go
Okay,
ahead. Tell me.
look, nature. Okay, go back to nature. Let me show you just real quick. Look, take a look at this. Can you see this?
The love hormone could
This
hold
this is a new thing. This is a
key.
couple of days ago, like less than 2 weeks ago. They have some findings. Love hormone is oxytocin, right? It's the hormone that is secreted in a mother's brain and body when she communicates with her baby. or when you communicate with your baby. It's when you make love, when when you feel affectionate towards someone, and so on. So they call it the love hormone. I didn't come up with that. So they're saying that might be uh, a component that makes us more resilient to, or our bodies capable of handling COVID and preventing what is called the cytokine storm, I believe it's called, which is a nervous system malfunction that COVID causes. So, first of all, isn't that very telling? If you think about nature, designing a virus whose antidote is, us starting to change our
Loving each
attitude
other.
towards each other. Yeah. Isn't that
So you basically
insane?
said in the
Isn't that
1 minute you
insane?
spoke during the show, you
Yeah.
basically said what I've been trying to say for 30 minutes. So thank you.
But but now, okay, so if COVID is an educator that comes to essentially tell us you guys have to love each other, and you got to do these efforts to love each other, you got to make these efforts as conscious efforts, even though I know you're egoistic towards each other. I know you're hateful towards each other. I know yeah, you can make this crown, whatever, call it the eye crown or whatever it
Just
is
wait till we get a
that
budget,
show.
man.
Yeah, exactly. Then things will start happening. But okay, you can do that, and that will show your attitude towards others. But will it show what you essentially are getting rewarded by from nature is how much do you try to rise above that and identify that the other is a part of you and rebuild, rekindle that love between you and your fellow man. And once you do that, nature says, I will reward you with COVID not causing havoc in your body, therefore in your society, in your nervous system. You will be able to cope with and actually get the message that I was trying to communicate to you. There's a brilliant, so that's what I was going with. I mean, how do you educate the child? You put them in a catch 22. That's
Hmm.
what nature is doing to us. That's the brilliance of nature as an educator. And we obviously, most people, except for the people listening to this show, don't see it. They just see, oh, there's a virus, we got to fight it off. When do we have the vaccine? Our economy is taking a hit. What can we do with that? But if we start looking through the prism of that natural system we're in is a system of laws, it accounts for our development, it accounts for human evolution, it has humans next state of development in mind, and the virus attacking us as a global pandemic is a push towards that next state. Once you start analyzing the situation through this prism, then you gotta start thinking, what is nature doing with us? And it puts us in a catch 22, in a situation where you gotta make a choice. You gotta make a choice. And when you make and every person in the world right now, every person listening to this show, and those not listening to the show, and world leaders and economists, and every person every day these days has a choice to make, a scrutiny, an inner self scrutiny to make. Am I thinking about changing something? Or am I just trying to get away from this, the hell with this virus. Let's go back to what we always did. I don't care as long as I can, make things convenient for me. That's the interesting, conscious, transformative state that nature put us in. That's what I'm. Anyway,
No, this is
so
very nice. I saw that Mechanical Elves was getting excited when you said catch 22. Like we're in some very, very special.
hey, some
Um,
people call it, say, there's simulation theory and all that. It's kind of right. It's kind of true. Nature is a smart. A smart cookie. Nature is that is the bigger game that we're in. It's not Nature is not a bunch of trees and trillions of tons of minerals and whatever. Uh, no, nature is the program that we're in, where everything, every element develops in a unique way, purposefully.
Program.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So let's get into a few questions from our friends who are with us because I think it'll open up the conversation here. So here's a good one. Bethany Naylor on YouTube says, I have a far out question. Do you think that the Kabbalists over the years have always been running things? Like, you know how they say a certain group runs the media?
Hmm,
You
hmm.
think it's all connected?
Oh boy. No, because I don't know. Do I take the long the do we take the long route here or the short the short
I have
route
a
to an
super short
answer?
one for this one.
The short one.
Yeah, go with the short one.
There's a
And then
lot
there's
of
going to be a follow up one too.
there's a lot
Okay,
of
let me answer this one. I'll give you the follow up
go
one.
ahead.
Bethany, um, there's no, until everyone comes along, uh, nobody wins. It's not like one guy gets to reach something and then it's game over. Um, the correction that we're going through now is the correction of every single human, every single one. The one who's living in the middle of some rainforest somewhere, or in some, I don't know, some jungle, some desert somewhere. Um, our work is not done until every single person is uh, connected and feels the whole world as themselves. We'll get into it a lot more. That's still many months down the road. We're not really there yet. Things will become more and more revealed as we go through this whole process. So Bethany also had one more question, which I think you'll do a really good job at answering. Let me find it. It was on YouTube. Um, oh, I can't find it yet. Let me ask you a question from Mary Spies on YouTube. And meanwhile, I'll look for the other one. The, conse- the consequences are very different for everyone. So the amount of suffering varies. Wouldn't you say suffering depends on our perspective?
The COVID consequences, you think she means? The
Yes, I
the
think so.
So depends on perspective. I don't know. Suffering, yeah, suffering has a lot to do with perspective, of course. um, Even to the point that I'll give you a simple example. When an athlete suffers a lot because they're training really hard, and they're really exerting all of their possible energies, and they push themselves to the limit and then some. That's suffering, but they have a higher goal they're aiming for. And all of that exertion and all of that pain and all of that trouble they go through is mitigated. It is elevated. It is experienced in an adventurous, positive way. You can call this like suffering of lofty suffering. They're aiming for something to make themselves something that they're not right now, right? So, and if you put the same amount of pressure onto someone who's not a professional athlete, not working to be one, then that person would, I don't know, kill themselves. So yes, it is a matter of perspective. However, the consequences that we each feel from COVID, I wouldn't say it's just a matter of perspective. Think about it like a gigantic, vast kind of program, right? We said nature is a program. If we think about it like that, every human being in the program is now affected by this general global influence called COVID. How much does it affect you? How much does it actually, you notice of it? How much do you feel from it? Your relatives, your close environment? How much does it affect your country? There is a general influence, I would say. It moves all of us collectively, and also everyone gets from it what he or she needs. And so if someone is sick, it has to do with a certain kind of a balancing act that is happening in the program, and we don't necessarily know and identify how the program works. It's not in our, it doesn't follow our direct linear logic. So, oh, this guy's a bad guy, so he should, he should really suffer from COVID, and this guy's a good guy, so he should suffer less. It's a vastly interconnected, intricate system, and there's a, it's like a thicket of different parameters and conditions that have to do with our future end result, and that's in general why things happen. What's important for us to do, what's practical for us to do, is to promote the awareness that we're all interconnected, that we're all interdependent, that we're all in the same boat here. And nature wants us to recognize that and change our attitude to the fact that we're in the same boat. And then we'll see that COVID maybe is actually helping us see that, helping us change our systems towards more consideration for each other, towards love for each other even. Maybe COVID is the messenger from nature, that is promoting human evolution to a whole different level of experience.
But this was
That
Bethany's other question. I just found it. She said, "So COVID's not man-made."
Oh, you know what, Bethany? Even if it is man-made,
Oh, there you go.
even if it is
Even
man-made,
if it is.
I don't rule out. I don't rule that out. I don't. I don't. Who made man that made the
Oh,
virus, that made the virus? You see what I'm saying? What we're talking about,
but
Bethany,
you're
here
not saying it in you're
is,
not saying it in terms
yeah,
of,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
there's
Go
some
ahead.
God who made.
No,
No,
no.
it's not like, well, God made man and meant, no. Meaning, when that man who made the virus, for example, if it was man-made, for example, where did the thought come into that person's head from? Where did the desire to do something like that come from? Where are those things coming from? Nobody exists on an island disconnected from everything else. Nature developed that person after meticulously develop. You know how fragile a person is. You know how fragile a person's eye is. A man's genitals are. Like, this is like a very fragile little creature here that somehow nature prepared for billions of years, kept alive, sustained, allowed to, while many others went away. This creature somehow made it here. So, if one of these creatures that nature made had this idea to do the virus, so what Asaf, I'm basically giving a disclaimer, like asterisk, like at the bottom of the contract, disclaimer for what you said, in case people, in case Bethany is new here, or in case there's people new here. The big conspiracy is not Bill Gates. The big conspiracy is not the CIA. The big conspiracy is not Russia. The big conspiracy is nature behind controlling everything. And our work now is to understand what's happening to us, and that all of these other things were all part of one integral system together. Nobody escapes. When, like wheels, like gears inside of a machine, when we turn, the rest turn. When they turn, we turn. That's it. There's no one outside of it. Like Bethany asked, same question Bethany asked before. There's some Kabbalists who are controlling things from outside.
Mhm.
What happens is when you start to understand the system. Asaf, tell us what happens when you start to understand the system.
Yeah. I first of all, I appreciate people who are looking for, the truth behind the mainstream stories that we're being told. There's no doubt that we're being fed a huge amount of lies and just ridiculous ideas that just fit someone's interests, economic, political, rating, just to keep us watching, engagement, of course, of course. But if you want to go for the real deep down the rabbit hole kind of truth, then at the end of the day, at the end of the day, whether it's through a bat or through a man, it doesn't matter. There is a global influence right now on part of nature affecting all this whole planet and reshaping in a very creative, smart way, reshaping our society, nudging us to reorganize ourselves around the planet, this is an incredible thing. And back to the catch 22. Again, I don't think I clarify. I said it clearly before. The you when you put someone in a catch 22, it's not just that they have to make a decision. They're forced to make a decision, this or that. No decision works. No, no decision is clearly the one to go for, which means you got to rise to a new level of consciousness where um, where where those two options
Come on, bring it out. That's what I paid for.
both
Bring it
make
out.
sense.
Give it to me.
No, look,
Tell me.
it's a beautiful thing. If you want to get a kid to learn something by themselves, you dismantle some sort of a toy, right? Like a car, let's say. Let's try to put together, to assemble the broken parts of a car. That's insane to do. But so you do something like that with a toy, where like we do these things with kids. But it's not just that they learn how to put the pieces together. When they do that, they acquire the intelligence of the designer. And that's where nature wants us human beings to go with this COVID. It wants us not just to, okay, you were bad to each other, now be good to each other. No, it wants us to take our own fate in our own hands. It wants us to recognize the next stage in our evolution. Humanity is gonna see itself. I'm making sorry for sounding like a fortune teller here, but this is just laws of nature. Human beings are going to discover themselves from this day onwards becoming more and more inextricably connected to each other. We're going to see that our systems are not working. Forget about it. It's not going to go back to what it was before, even if it will seem like it for a little while. Not happening. We're going to see that the paralysis that this virus brings to all our systems, the economies mostly, and also our leadership systems, we're going to see that we can no longer run this system and everybody has what they need, because when you're take economics for example, when that stops working the way it worked before, you're going to have masses and masses of people out of work, needing food, needing shelter. So you're going to have to reorganize the way in which these basic necessities are distributed in society. All of that because of the tiny virus. So we're not going to be able to reorganize ourselves and create a new system that works for all the people if we don't change the incentive of the system. Currently, the incentive of the system is if you can, the winner takes it all, if you can exploit the others, and on the way, make a healthcare system for them or give them food or whatever, if you can make a business out of it and make a profit out of it, then it works. That's our old world. That's done. That's not going to be in the future. It's not going to work this way anymore, because COVID is going to force us to redesign a system that puts a different incentive at the helm, that is driven by a different kind of motivation. And that motivation will be, how do we create balance with each other and with the natural system? And then it means, look how deep this goes. This means we're going to have to change our focus, what we consider as pleasurable and delightful and worthy to aspire to, what we aspire to, our goals, our aspirations. We're going to have to change all of those goals and aspirations and preferences from being glued to materialism. We're going to have to start finding joy and tranquility and peace and love through that balance that we'll create in positive human connections.
Bro, you nailed it. You nailed it today. There was a couple things you said today that were just
Thank you
so
for
spot
stopping
on.
me, though. I Couldn't stop there.
Oh, I stopped you. Sorry, keep going.
Thank you for stopping me. I couldn't stop.
Oh, thank you for stopping.
Yeah.
Talking to the mic, it's hard to hear you. Yeah, you said a few things today that were so, it took me 20 minutes and then you come around with like one swing to the chin and just nail it. This thing right here that you just said, um, we want pleasure. That's what we want.
Yeah.
It's not like I want to have a giant business. I want to have a business so that I get pleasure, so that I get money to buy the things that give me pleasure, so that people respect me and I get
Yeah.
pleasure, right? I want this woman for this. I want this car for this. I want this house for this. All we want at the end of the day is pleasure. So the thing that you just nailed there, it's still about pleasure. That doesn't go away. Somebody asked earlier, like, how does a Kabbalist do business without exploiting people or whatever? The desire for pleasure doesn't go away. All that changes is that instead of getting pleasure by screwing you over, I get pleasure now by supporting you.
Yeah, and we're
That's
saying
the whole thing. That's the whole thing of our whole show. That's the whole
that,
message right there.
and we're saying you're not supposed to, become a monk or something like that. It's not
God forbid.
human beings are not supposed to start, limiting their desire for pleasure. No, they need to shape it in a way that works. That's the
That's
problem.
it.
Right
Endless
now,
pleasure.
what we consider pleasure right now is, is being in a ret race to
Suffering
constantly,
80% of the time.
and even those who, the very few who can make it to the top, and only very few in our current system can make it to the top, can be the winners. That's how our system is designed, because it's not designed for balance. It's designed for egoistic profit. So naturally, it can only be 1% of the people that reap all the benefits. But even them, they're in a constant war. You know what? What's the most common thing that the super rich are buying? That's the common denominator. Like, doesn't matter what industry they're from.
Violence,
Bunkers, yeah, or
bunkers.
bunkers. There's a
Good
whole
for them.
industry. There's an entire industry that you and I are not aware of, because it's that most people are not dealing
I'm not
with.
getting
But
any Facebook ads for bunkers.
exactly. But this is like, there are, dude, this is why we're supposed to become, just think of a situation where nature brings us to that point where you don't need to chase, hoarding and self accumulation and self maximization. You don't need that, because you become like a conduit where all of the abundance that all humanity has and that all that nature has to give to you passes through you to all the other people. And that becomes that's a completely different kind of pleasure. That's
Chris Fisher
pleasure.
said they're going bonkers for bonkers.
Nice. Fish wrote it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So anyway, our world is, we're Kabbalists say we're gonna look back and think this was all, and figure out this was all a weird dream. Literally, they say we were as dreamers. That's what they say about the experience of the material world, perceived from the expanded perception of a Kabbalist. But we're gonna look back at this time, and we're gonna be ashamed. It's gonna be like, really? That's,
Right in front of us. The good life is
the
right in front of
yeah,
us. And
man.
all after, the next step, I don't want to be, like I said already, not like a doomsayer. I'm very optimistic about everything, but kind of mostly. But,
No,
it'll
man, you're
go.
right. That needs to be said. If we don't, if it's that much of a difference. That needs to be said. It's that big of a difference. If we recognize it, it can be a super easy, fast, smooth, wonderful, educational, uplifting process that we all go through. And if we don't, just that difference of consciousness, will determine whether we have to sink down into horrible suffering. Horrible suffering. Think
Pets will
people,
have the virus. The virus will
yeah,
be on food. You won't be able to cut,
sure, on
and you'll be scared.
cockroaches, on
Yeah,
in the air,
cockroaches.
wherever you
You'll be scared
want.
of squirrels.
Every family
Everything
can
will
can
carry.
be touched by it. You'll start seeing someone dies in each family, god forbid. Children get infected and not just carriers. Virus goes through all kinds of modifications. We can, it's very easy to tell a horror story. Nature can easily do all of that. It's not like it's like this idea of some god, white bearded god who sits there and says, they're not behaving, I should. No, we're looking at evolution. Evolution has a goal. It's in our genes, it's in our DNA, it's in the informative program that runs our biology, psychology, and everything else. It needs to reach a certain fruition. And if we're standing in the way, or if we're not joining with the process, then we start to experience imbalance, which means suffering on many levels. So the sooner we balance it out by consciously recognizing where we're going, first of all, the faster and easier everything will get.
Mary
And
Spies on YouTube said, all that we see or seem, as Edgar Allan Poe quote, all that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream.
nice,
Matthew
nice.
Corian wants to know what's going to replace capitalism. Well, Matthew, we'll see.
We can do a
But
whole show if you're interested.
seriously,
I'm
yeah, I
hot.
might
I'm
bring
hot on
back
it. We can bring
Avigdor
back. Yeah, we have
Ronan.
a couple of Kabbalist economists who can open your mind, guys,
Let's
to
do it.
some
So
new
stay
ideas.
tuned, Matthew.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're in the sunset of capitalism. And that's, I'm not saying that with any kind of like joy or anything. I have a family business, supports my family, but
And we're not
thank God
saying
it's a
that
serious business.
communism is going to replace it. Communism failed
No, we're
already,
not
and
saying that either.
that's not
Communism
the
also,
solution.
yeah, communism, and then Russia ended up with like a lot of dead people, a lot of suffering people,
Yeah.
couldn't even get basic needs. So let's just check in with all of our friends who are here with us. Right now, it is almost 9 o'clock at night in Egypt, where our friend Kiko is. It is almost 10 o'clock at night where you are, Asaf, and where Biruk is. I think I saw
Ooh.
Biruk here in Ethiopia. It is almost 3 in the afternoon in New Jersey. I saw Vivi's here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. It is almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we have friends from Tenerife, Louisiana, Miami, Quebec, Sweden, Connecticut, Amsterdam, Greece, Colorado, Utah, Finland, Germany, North Carolina,
Ooh.
Texas, UK,
I saw
Venezuela. Oh,
Amsterdam there.
Amsterdam. Is that first time?
I think so.
All
I don't think
right.
we saw it before. Yeah, amazing. Great.
Um, Brazil, Puerto Rico, California, Minnesota, Austria, Ethiopia, and Washington. So, friends, we
Woo.
are doing it
Woo.
together.
Yeah, it's actually quite very cool what you just did there. It just brought me that visual all of a sudden, seeing how those points of consciousness towards the great transition that we're all going through are awakening all over the world on different time zones. So there's someone thinking about this right now you know, in every moment of the day, so to speak, in every with every angle of the sun and and the moon kind of thing. This is really what we need to make happen, guys. A change of consciousness. That's the key. And we'll keep doing that. Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, right? There's is there a change of something is changing? Time zones are time
Oh, I think your time zone changes
daylight
first, and
something.
then ours changes.
Okay, so
For
I think it doesn't matter, right? Whatever happens, we'll be here on the same
if your
time.
time zone is
So
changing, I don't know. No, my time zone is not changing for another few weeks. I don't think, but I think yours is.
yeah, you're
Okay,
right. I think
everyone,
we
it'll be
change
2
first.
p.m. Eastern.
In
Okay,
anyway,
so
2 p.m.
follow New York
Eastern.
time.
Yes,
We'll be here
Sunday.
Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. If your clock changes or not, check New York's time.
And stay tuned for updates about new The Great Transition channel coming up soon. make sure you'll be the first to subscribe and watch the show there, and help us, grow this consciousness. We're doing it together, entering the
Big
great
hug to
transition.
everyone together. We're doing this together. We're supporting each other. We're going to open up this new world. We're going to understand what nature is showing us. And we're going to be safe and fulfilled as we enter into the new life through this great transition. Thank you, Asaf. You're awesome. You're a great friend.
One love, one soul, one goal.
You can try and riff over the song.
Ah, really? That's an interesting concept. I didn't balance the volume though.
Waking up
To a new day.
we're looking for the sun. If it feels that you lost your way, there's nowhere else to run.
There's nowhere else to run, everybody.
Try to rise above.
We gotta rise to a new level of consciousness. Catch 22.
Hold on to your name.
We can only do it by holding each other's hearts.
The seasons, our loving in vain.
One heart,
One soul, one desire, one goal, with one voice, one song, with one solution. All for one, all for one, all for
End of capitalism.
like a child, you lift me. You show
Crowns
me
with lights on them.
every voice in harmony. Together we pray. Try to rise above reason.
and discover nature's conspiracy.
Hold on to your name.
It's bigger,
Finding love in the season.
it's everywhere.
Without loving in vain.
Oh.
One heart and one soul,
One desire, one goal.
one voice, one song.
Egypt, Tenerife, Amsterdam, Venezuela.
Good day, good night, everybody, wherever you are in the world.